Hi, I'm Tony Williams, and this is Brooklyn Savvy.
Hi, I'm Tony Williams, and welcome to Brooklyn Savvy. We are really pleased to be here at the Brooklyn Navy Yard in the company of some fabulous women. Let's start by introducing Nanette Lepore. Now, you're the founder and designer of Nanette Lepore, right? Named right after your name, so to speak.
Yes, that's me.
Yes, and then we have ASLA Platt, who is the founder and CEO of Luxholdups, a design and fabrication company. Thank you for joining. And then there's Elizabeth Kennedy. Now, you are a nationally recognized expert in interpretation of cultural sites through landscape design. Yeah. And then we have Anna Lee. Now, you are the co-founder of G-Create, a company that sells 3D printers and printing services. So we'll be hearing from all of you because I'm just going to throw this first question out, which is talk to us about your entrepreneurial journey. What made you get started?
I actually was working in fashion. I had a degree in fashion design, and I was working for a small boutique where I was buying and going all over the world, shopping and buying clothes for this boutique. But I decided I needed to get back into fashion design. So I quit that job and started waitressing again because I didn't have a backup, and went a year and a half without finding another job. So my husband encouraged me to get a small shop on the Lower East Side, where we found rent for $500 a month. The shop the shop was between a gas station and a soup kitchen. So it was pretty rough. And it just started off really small. And I built the business slowly. And it was actually just more out of necessity because I wanted to design, I wanted to have that career, but I couldn't find a job that wanted me.
So you just decided that this was your opportunity to express your voice and to follow your passion, essentially.
Exactly. It was a moment where, you know, all the stars were aligned. I was able to afford that shop. I had like the ability to not have to earn a lot of money working. So it all worked out for me in a great way.
Excellent. Now, Ashley, talk to us about your endeavor.
Yeah, so my journey started with a Google search that kind of went awry. I was looking for curtain rods for my apartment that I had just started decorating and was really unsatisfied with what I was finding. It seemed like everything was made out of what looked like cheap materials, and it seemed like there hadn't been a lot of thought into the design of the curtain rod. And for some reason, this really bugged me. So I took it upon myself. I had grown up, you know, working with my dad in his workshop on the weekends and building things. So it's like, okay, I can figure this out. So I found a brass bracket that I then machined with the set screw holes and found a Lucite supplier, ordered the Lucite from Jay in Indiana.
So you like building?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting, right.
And voila, I had these Lucite and brass curtain rods. Problem was I mismeasured. So I had these, it looked like a bad haircut like on my windows because I didn't know enough that it has to extend, something I know now. And basically to recoup the cost of these curtain rods, I put them on the internet and got a lot of inquiries. And it turned out that a lot of other people were also having unsatisfactory Google searches for hardware. And I was working full-time in copywriting at the time, loved my job, and was like, no, I can't, you know, kind of produce this amount of curtain rods for these people. Then I got to think, oh, how much will you pay me? And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, let's call up Jay. Let's bring a miter saw into my West Village apartment, go home on my lunch break, cut the rods, and order more, you know, brass brackets and plate them. And so it kind of spiraled from there into something good. But
yes.
So that really is what started everything.
Excellent. Now, Elizabeth, now you've been in business for over 25 years? 25 years, right.
Yes, yeah.
And your journey kind of started through unemployment. So talk to us about how unemployment was a gift.
Well, I'm here to tell you, to this day, I've done everything wrong. To sort of sum it up really quickly, I've always wanted to be a landscape architect. I'm the daughter and the niece of architects, so I kind of grew up in the business. I went to a fancy school. I did 2 degrees at Cornell University. I was there. I did very well. And kind of left school during a recession, and landscape architecture was a sort of immature industry at the time, way back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth and I was leaving school. What eventually happened was that I worked for very small companies, 2 and 3 person operations. That tends to give you, you make the coffee, you do the drawings, you deliver the blueprints, you do everything, right? And then after freelancing for a lot of different companies, I went to work in construction and development for 2 years. And so I did affordable housing and worked for a company, and it turned out that I was the only one profitably running projects. I was managing about 20 projects at the time. And I had gone into construction cold. I mean, I'd done a little bit of nursery work, but otherwise, and I'd run a crew. So all of those skills sort of came to a point where I was working in construction and development. And the firm went under, and that's why I was on unemployment. And I'd taken a very long route to licensure. And finally, it was just like, well, okay, you either have to bleep or get off the pot, right?
That's it.
And I looked in the Amsterdam News, and they had an RFP out to write a scope of work for community gardens in Northwest Harlem. And I applied for it and won that contract. And I said, this is rubbish. What you need to do is sort of have a way of getting communities to understand urban environments as ecological systems.
Right.
And I wrote a brief for that instead. And it became a seminar at Harvard. And at the same time, we were taking whatever came in and building skills that way. And then wasn't even signed up to be a minority or woman-owned business, but was at a job fair. And somebody came up to me and he said, we'll get you some work. And so my first public project was a mile-long fence for a psychiatric facility.
Interesting.
And it went from there.
And now you've got all kinds of work that you can point to. Yeah. Now, Anna, talk to us about your work. Did you start through Kickstarter? Is that how you?
Yes.
Now, can you believe that? Go ahead. Yeah, but talk about that.
So it was about, I guess it was around like 2012 or so. I was living with somebody who was building his own 3D printer from scratch, just using like Home Depot parts. It was a rep kit. And I was, I was just so fascinated by the whole process, and especially when he started printing things. And as an architect, he decided he wanted to design one for himself. And he wanted to use it just for his home use, but we're like, this doesn't exist on the market. Why don't we test the waters to see if there's a demand for it? So while we both had like full-time jobs, we developed this campaign together. He finished the prototype. I did all the operations, the marketing, all that stuff. And then, we launched and we raised enough money to leave our full-time jobs. And we started out of a 1-bedroom apartment not too far from here. And for the first year and a half or so, we were just the only 2 people in our company. We were building and selling kits, shipping them out of the apartment. And now we're 5 years in, and we have customers like NASA and Google and BMW. So, there's a lot of stuff happened in between, but it's been an interesting journey.
I want to ask you guys if you're special, but we'll hold off on that. Money, tends to be a real block when it comes to starting your own business. What is it that you all, and I'm posing this to you, Natalie, as well as to Elizabeth. What are you seeing over the past? Is it easier to gain access to capital now than it was, say, 20 years ago? What's been your experience?
Well, when I needed money for my business, my father mortgaged his house.
There you go. You see, that's what it takes, right?
I know, because we went to Small Business Administration. Right. And we said, we're like a woman-owned company, because at the time I had a partner who was also a woman. And they were like, just go away. I said, well, what if we got $20,000? He said, no, that's impossible, go away. So now I feel like there's a difference because there's more women's groups helping women to raise money. And that's definitely changed because we didn't have an outlet to go to in those days.
Right.
So the only outlet eventually was my father, and then it took me 10 years to pay him back. I was terrified that I was gonna lose the family house. So I don't recommend that. But I think that, there's not a lot of money out there for startups unless you have like a tech company, which I think they're all about right now.
Right. What's been your experience, Elizabeth, in that space?
I said very early that I was used to making a little bit of money, and because that made me very accustomed to risks that maybe I shouldn't have taken. But what that meant was that we could position ourselves with clients, because we're really, you know, you want to be a design firm, but we're really a service firm. And when people call up and they want solutions, you know, usually we meet people where they are.
Right.
And so that sort of gives us a strength for our particular market, as we say. But it also means that we can take risks in terms of finding a solution for them that they might not be able to get from a better serviced or, you know, a more capitalized firm. So the risk actually is sort of like the underpinnings of our approach. We work in the public sector, and it's brutal.
Right.
If you do government contracting, you don't get retainers.
Right, the payment is slow
and the
coming,
payment,
right? Real
the
slow,
payment is
right.
very, 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 very slow. And so you have to do work quickly. You have to be smart. You have to be super smart at doing it, and you have to get work out, and it has to be accurate, and it has to be tight. And you have to sort of minimize the changes. And so it's very important to identify very, not just creative, but very technically adept and knowledgeable people who can get to the point really quickly. You have to have a process that allows you to be flexible. So you can say, all right, let's try this, and test it before you go back to the client. But you have to turn over things very quickly. That's it. It's been brutal. It's been brutal.
Wow. Learning on the job. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of that. Ashley, talk to us about what it takes to learn all of this while you're, you know, developing your own business.
Yeah, so I was fortunate in that the skills I had to learn, I was just really passionate about and wanted to learn. Once I started working with the medium of acrylic and also metal, it just opened up this whole world of possibilities that I hadn't learned in college, that I hadn't been exposed to. So it was certainly, you know, a necessity of the job, but it was also something I just became absolutely passionate about. I will say, yeah, I went to the hospital a few times.
What do you mean went to the hospital?
In terms of drilling, you know, through metal, and then all of a sudden I'm drilling through the finger, and so those skill sets are certainly things I wish I learned probably under supervision in some ways. But learning how to machine metal and learning how to route acrylic, it went hand in hand with what my clients need and what they're asking for in terms of product. And it's something I was just really excited to learn how to do.
This is interesting. Now, Anna, talk to us about what it's like to be learning on the job.
Pretty crazy, yeah. Because not only are you learning, but especially as a small startup and we're bootstrapping, you know, you're the CEO, you're the founder, you're the janitor, you're the marketer, you're everything. And Google is my best friend. But really, it's like Ashley said, it's about being really passionate. Like, I'm really passionate about like growing businesses and scaling responsibly and just like learning as much as I can. So luckily, it's a topic that I'm very much like interested in. So it doesn't feel difficult.
Are you saying this is fun for you?
A lot of it is, not all of it. There's certain aspects where I'm like, oh, I would love to just delegate this or not have to think about it. But you know, you take that with the good. So.
Now, what's keeping you up at night when it comes to your business? You know, you're at a I would say a pinnacle, but what keeps you up at night?